Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I am Nick McDaniel, and as always, I am joined by my buddy Myron.
I'm actually not Myron. I thought we'd change things tonight.
We're going to change it.
And you're Myron. You're my buddy Myron. Oh no, folks, it's just Myron. We got a show that's packed full of information for you tonight. All kind of stuff. We're gonna circumnavigate the globe. We've got more indie wrestling, Impact Wrestling, MLW wrestling than we do WWE tonight. If you can believe that stuff.
It's a packed show, and we always tell you we're going to try to get to everything as best we can. This show may actually go a little bit longer than our normal show. There's so much going on, but we do want to stress, as always, before we get started, which we're going to jump right in there. If you want to catch us, we went super detailed in the pre-show, the show prep show, which you can find on patreon.com/tappedoutpod, just by signing up as a patron member. Is a lots of stuff, and I'm going to tell you, there's no way we can go that deep into all this.
A lot of tea on that episode. It's an episode that might break indie wrestling in Georgia.
So, great episode. Yeah, check it out. So, man, let's, without further ado, just because we got so much to get into, let's just dive right in, man, and the start. We will start in the WWE, of course. I saw an article this week that kind of wanted to make me ask this question. The question of the article, it was on our buddies at thechairshot.com, was, is the WWE PG era ending? Like, is this a thing? I'll let you start. What do you think, man?
I think you're going to have two separate shows. Your network TV show SmackDown is going to be a little bit more PG-ish and more Cena-ish. Okay, I'm going to say Cena-ish because that's the frame I'm looking at. Your cable show Raw might have a little bit more attitude. Just to coin a phrase, it might be more PG-13. I think you're going to see Heyman, who is extreme, and you've seen his fingers in the pie on Raw the last two episodes. Bischoff, though, is able to create a different product. So I think you're going to get a different product. I think you're going to see less PG on Fox, less PG on USA and more PG on Fox.
Which makes sense. I mean, just because of the two broadcast cable, two different things. Because you brought it up with Heyman coming in, Bischoff. I mean, we saw last week, Braun and Lashley going through the wall. They kind of went for that real look. Kofi flipping the bird. The Kanellis pregnancy angle just kind of screamed a little more Attitude Era, right?
Yeah.
First and foremost, it's something we discussed a little more in depth here. Everybody always says they want the Attitude Era back. Well, first and foremost, my question is, do they really? And the ones saying it, did they actually ever live it the first time? Because has the WWE lost that audience that really watched it the last time?
I think a lot of people that talk about the Attitude Era know the Attitude Era from the Jim Johnson songs, where you hear the car crash and the glass break and the entrances and stuff, and the people walk down to the ring, and you see the Kiss My Ass Club. That kind of stuff that you see in tidbits and ring entrances is what most people think the Attitude Era is, and puppies, for lack of a better way to put it. And I don't think that holds up as well. I think people have evolved in their television watching.
Well, this week alone, I'll tell you, it was funny. So on this prior week's 83 weeks and something to wrestle, they both watched each other's shows from us, July 6th. It was Bischoff watched Raw, and Pritchard watched Nitro, and Pritchard watched the Nitro where Goldberg won the title in the Georgia Dome over Hogan, and Bischoff watched the Raw that was a taped Raw that aired, head to head with that Nitro.
Now, was that an exception to the rule that it was a taped Raw, or
no? You remember this was during the era when Raw was live on one Monday, and then they would go to the next town the next night, and they would tape Raw for the next week. And so every other week, it was basically live tape.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. But the things that was funny that, a lot of things are like, oh, that didn't hold up well. That was also, by the way, the Raw where DX did the skit of the Nation.
Oh, blackface.
And but even that, I was like, I take stuff out like it just doesn't age well. There's also a lot of people forget of how some things just weren't that good. We look back at the Attitude Era with rose-colored glasses because we think everything was great, and it really wasn't. To put it in perspective, that Nitro had the highest rated up to that point cable match of all time when Hogan versus Goldberg. And here's your issue. The rest of that card wasn't that great because it always goes back to my 1 match, 2 match, 3 match card. I'm not saying it was a bad show, but there's lots of filler in there as well because it was a 3-hour Nitro.
Oh God, yeah.
So, but that being,
I like the way Nitro was structured. I like the way you got different hours that were different content. But they all can't be winners. It's just that simple, you know. And why would you put your best show up against a pre-tape show?
well, the car crash can't last for 3 hours.
No.
So that's kind of my question. Like, we know they're chasing the 18 to 49 demo, and that's why they think they're going to go edgier. I just don't want full Attitude Era. I like pushing the envelope a little bit. Because we were, again, on the pre-show, we were talking, and we brought up that is the day, because everybody wants to say, like, oh, they want to be number one on cable television. Sure, you want to be. Can you even do that anymore?
Nope, because the demographics are different. Young people no longer watch television. If you were to sample your cable subscribers, your average cable subscriber, I would guarantee the ages would tilt farther to people our parents' age. It would be in the middle of people our age, and then the people on the young age wouldn't subscribe at all. I most of my friends under 30 do not have cable television.
Well, I don't have cable television.
Well,
and here's what's funny. In the streaming service that I use, it asks you, do you want to be a Nielsen family? And you sign up. So everything I watch is counted because I actually said, sure, well, the hell not, right? I'll be in the flawed system. But what we were trying to get at is that the older demographic, because Raw, you know, obviously last week, we don't have this week's numbers in at this point when we're recording, but last week they were number 3 on cable television, but they were number 1 in the coveted 18 to 49 because we joked about how our parents, you know, they come in, they sit down once they're done with dinner, they put Fox News on
at 4 o'clock
at whatever time. And so when you're going through the cable system for the Nielsen ratings, those seem to be like your top 2 on a regular basis. But everybody, you want to be in the demo and quit chasing the top, you know, one spot, I guess, and focus on being.
Your marketing completely different. Your marketing on a rating scale is pointless because you're not marketing to an entire audience. You're marketing to a small, because you're not going to get your Sean Hannity viewer to watch a wrestling program.
Right.
It's that simple. My mother sits there like this in front of Fox News, like just mindlessly absorbing everything they say. Politics or not,
She's
I don't
a
care if
sponge.
you agree with it, but she just sits there like, I got to know more about what's going on. I used to joke she would tell me at any time I could call my mother and she could tell me where in the world Barack Obama was because she watched Fox News so intently. Like every hour she could have told me where he was and what he was doing. And it's the truth. I mean, they watch that stuff religiously. Like it or not, they watch that stuff religiously. And it's not, you know, it's not that my mother's not going to turn on wrestling. My mother has not had wrestling on in a household she was in since I was 12, 13.
Right, and that's why. But she's not not who they're chasing anymore, right?
Exactly.
They're going for that 18 to 49. They're going to try to nail it down, and kind of like you were saying earlier, the way they got to do this is they've got to basically separate these two shows because they do still feel very similar, and you're going to need to build the loyalty, not where you can miss one. Because when they have that spillover, you almost feel like you can watch one or the other every week, whichever one fits your off day better, because you'll catch up on the other one with because they're going to highlight it in. It's all just running from one show to the next.
They've kind of marginalized SmackDown in the last 6 months, in my opinion. Where if you were going to watch a program, you could watch Raw and pass on SmackDown and still get, the better end of it. And now with Heyman until Bischoff takes over after the pay-per-view Sunday, even more so. Like, I have no desire to turn SmackDown on tonight. I might watch it later, but...
Well, part of the thing for this week was, let's be blunt, when we're saying they need to separate the two shows, it's because like this wild card rule is just stupid. They broke their own rule. They had 7 people on Raw from SmackDown, and it was supposed to be 4. So if you saw pretty much all of the storylines progressing, why would you have to worry about watching on SmackDown? That's the way some people feel. Not necessarily true. I mean, but that could be, what people felt like, I guess, is probably what we're trying to say.
To me, right now, the best thing on WWE programming is R-Truth and Drake Maverick and the 24/7 Championship. Drake Maverick's wife is somebody who's getting incredible amounts of TV time. She's an indie wrestler that's working, all over the country right now, but she's getting on Raw, the pinnacle of programming. Carmella is showing a comedic genius I don't think people really realize she had, and R-Truth is timing perfect. Best facial expressions in wrestling. Maybe the best facial expressions in comedy or movies right now. He reminds me of Chris Tucker.
I can see that. And it's, but again, if they can separate those brands, put them on, where you have to, if you want to see this guy, you've got to watch this brand, and so forth and so on. But I tell you one thing that's opening the door, and this is one of the things we're talking about, is Evolve. We're talking about this weekend. So this weekend, Evolve is going to come on. It's going to be on the network. So one thing to ask was, is this the doorway? Does this crack the door? Because you remember a while back, I think it was last year sometime, there was all this talk about could ROH, Impact, Progress, all these other promotions find their way onto the network, and it could Evolve's 10th anniversary show be that door opener to just say, hey, come on. And I'm not necessarily Ring of Honor, Impact, whatever, but if ICW, Progress, you remember all that rumor?
Oh, yeah. They're big over in England. And at the time, a lot of their English talent, the people that are on NXT UK now, were working the Rise and Progress shows. They were all over the place not Rise, I'm sorry, Progress and ICW,
yeah.
ICW, yes.
So what if this is what the tool they're going to use to give the alternative to AEW? Because if everybody says AEW is the alternative, if WWE just goes in and says, look, we'll give them every alternative they want on here and just feed that right into it, that would be insane to give that option.
Well, yes, it would be insane, and it wouldn't degrade their product, and it would get lower level rising stars. I'm not saying lower level. I'm talking about people who are on the rungs coming up, more exposure where people can build a bond with them. You're going to have Austin Theory on this pay-per-view, our Evolve show. Evolve is the best thing people don't watch besides Impact. Okay? Super great matches, super great talent, and they make it for DVDs and the WWE Network. Okay? And they sell 300 tickets. They don't sell 300 tickets because they suck. It's just they're making a product for not for videotape, but for DVD release or download release. Great stuff. I mean, I've loved the Evolve shows, I think.
And the stars, I think it's a win-win because of those promotions that we're talking about. And I subtly throw Impact into that discussion, which we can discuss, down the road. We're going to discuss some other Impact stuff. But if Impact worked out a deal where they were on there, I think it could drastically help them as well. And the tool that the WWE Network is throwing into another tool they're using is they've sent emails out to former subscribers offering a deal to come back. And basically, they're going to give you 3 months for 99 cents. Now, you had to have gotten this email, from my understanding. It wasn't something you can ask for. But if you had canceled in a while, then it's just going to be available. And I think they also said anyway, doesn't matter. But for this package alone, so you guys think there are 3 months for 99 cents, you're going to get Extreme Rules this weekend, Evolve this weekend, NXT TakeOver, which is going to go head-to-head with All Out, SummerSlam, which would be the night after, and the Clash of Champions pay-per-view, which is the following month.
Massive mistake to run All Out against the NXT show. I'm sorry.
Actually, that was reversed. I guess they would have known that SummerSlam's coming. NXT would have been running that night before.
Massive mistake. I'm going to tell you something. This is marketing because the WWE has a marketing department. They have a business enterprise going on. It's not some guys that are getting together with their buddies that's got $1 billion to put a show on. I'm not shitting on what AEW is doing, but WWE has done this before. Okay, WE put out WCW, they put out ECW, they put out Crockett, they put out Fritz, they took out Georgia Championship Wrestling. They know how to compete. They've got a marketing department that sells T-shirts, that sells subscriptions, that studies demographics. I don't know if AEW has that facility yet, that has those people that understand how to do this. There's a lot of suits in Titan Tower, which is moving, I know that. But there are a lot of suits in Titan Tower. Are there a lot of suits in the AEW product?
Could be. I mean, that's that's
I
a
hope so. But the thing is, if you want to be successful, you have to see what the guys that are successful are doing and then copy it. That's why people, I will say about Georgia, but not to get on topic. If you're going to shit on Southern Honor, but not try to find out what they're doing, you'll never beat them. You'll never beat anybody by shitting on something unless you try to find out what they're doing right and do it better than them. Haters are going to hate. It ain't going to work that way, though.
and we were sitting here talking about all that. Heading into this whole, when we start talking about it, I guess, is AEW Fyter Fest just kind of went down. There's some good news, by the way, for them coming into this.
Very positive.
It wasn't a sellout, but it wasn't really, I don't think, meant to be. I don't think they would have loved it. I just don't. It was in a small arena, 5,000 seats or so. Drew a very respectable crowd. Looked good on camera, for one. But here's the cool news: they did 14,000 buys on Fight just for international, because it was free, obviously, here in the States. Double or Nothing did 20, so it still did comparatively well to Double or Nothing.
That is not a drop off. That is not a significant drop off from your first big event to your second also ran paper. I'm not saying it's an also ran, but it's not a massive pay per view. That's a good deal. I think that's really is a good deal, because I'm sure you can find a way to get it free even if you're in other countries.
Like Facebook or something. I'm saying. So I think they got a lot of momentum. Easy for me to say.
You looked at the average numbers and the total numbers: 350,000 unique views and 140,000 average view at any one time during the show.
Yeah,
that's a buy rate. And if they'd have bought that, just theoretically, if it had been bought, the buy average, the 140,000, is still bigger than the all-in buy rate. Okay, or it was, Double or Nothing buy rate, still bigger than any Impact buy rate.
The question would have been is what would if it was not free, what would they have had?
Yeah.
So there's the positive of that it 350 unique viewers for the BR live stream. The question that I threw into that was, is there any concern that there was 350,000 people at some point that looked into it, but you only averaged 140,000? That's 210. That's the gap there. Did those people just tune it out?
I have to see what the WE numbers look like on the same thing, because I don't think everybody watches all of every program. I mean, it was over a 3-hour show, right? I don't think anybody watches all 3 hours of any WWE pay-per-view. Okay? Did you watch all 3 hours of Mania? Or 5 hours?
Yes, but I'm weird. But I did not watch. I am the classic example of Fyter Fest. I did not watch every single. Like, I would zen and out. Like, if a match would start, I would kind of like log out for a second, watch something, and then come back. And I ended up over time watching everything. But that live, I did not watch everything beginning to end.
Well, you're also that demographic that would rather watch, like me, that would rather watch something the next day and piece it out and watch it at their leisure, and they would have to watch it on demand when they could be spending time with their family or handling some stuff or catching up on your video game or doing something, and you want to watch it when you can control it.
Well, like I said, there were matches I wanted to see live because I didn't want things spoiled, so I watched those matches live. The filler, which, let's be blunt, there's filler.
3-hour show, there's going to be filler regardless.
Oh, yeah. And then heading into, let's be blunt, heading into Fight for the Fallen, which is coming up this weekend. It's another step. By the way, that's July 13th, 8:30. The pre-show 7:30 on BR Live. They've announced that one's going to be free as well. But my question, we were talking about this a little bit, was, to me, Fight for the Fallen is a 1-match card.
Okay.
And everybody knows, if you've listened before, there's a 3-match card thing in my head where I always say,
Name me down a 3-match card theory, much like Mick McDaniel's wrestling bubble theory, are proven time and time again. I mean, that's one thing the podcast has brought out. Those two ideas always work.
But in the Fight for the Fallen, I'm chiseled down to a 1-match card. And that, by the way, is the Bucks versus the Rhodes brothers. And that's just, it is what it is. Now, some people would argue Omega versus Sema. There's a Hangman Page versus Kip Sabian. I mean, but I'm honestly like, huh?
Where's Jericho?
He's going to come out and talk. He's going to have a live mic, and he's going to have to say something.
Actually, I like that as much as I like watching him work. Okay, I'm honestly.
Sure. There's really, I mean, it's it. Jericho's a main event guy. We've had this conversation. Jericho's now on my Mount Rushmore. Jericho right now is my current favorite wrestler in the world.
Oh, you know what he's doing, Nick? He's Lesnaring.
Yeah.
They're holding him off to make him more important.
He's going to do big moments, and that's it.
Kudos.
So, being what I consider, and hey, if you disagree and you think that it's a bigger card than that, what do they? Just let us know, man. At Tapped Out Pod on Twitter, Facebook, you name it, all social media. tappedoutpod@gmail.com. You can email me there. Let us know if that's what you think. If you're watching this on Facebook, there's a comment feed. You can put it right in, right? So, piece of cake. Just let us know. But I'm just telling you, this is my personal opinion. So, the question I posed to you, and we're not going to, is ask somebody, are they already in this is running this many close shows back to back? Because they just ran one, now they're running another one, and they've got the All Out coming up. Are they already experiencing what do you do? Because you can't have the same guys fight over and over, but they're just top heavy.
Well, if you're product testing and you're benchmarking and you're getting your production crews together and you're figuring out how to do things and you're seeing what talent can work on TV, a lot of those talents that they have on the lower end, the mid-card guys, never have work shows this big. They never have work shows that over 100,000 people have seen. So you got to get them out there to see how they're going to do in front of that big audience. You got to get an MJF out there. I don't know what MLW does, but I know they're not drawing 100,000, 140,000 unique downloads per episode live. So I think it's good. If they are ironing out the creases and they're figuring out how to make things work, more power to them. If you're just filling time, and if this is what you're going to get every week, I don't feel good. Yeah. But if it's product testing, if you're getting your shit together, it's like me and you when we were working around doing shows. How many shows did we do before we figured out what we were doing?
We're still working on it.
Exactly. Okay. So I think there's positive in here. I think it's good for road testing, getting things out there and like knocking off the dust. But I hope it gets better.
I think they'll be okay. And, testing and, like I said, getting your legs under you and kind of thing, that's kind of par for the course. And there's another promotion that we had a show this past weekend. Impact ran their Slammiversary. We don't review. Everybody knows that. We're not going to sit here and break down match by match. It was a very good show, by the way.
I heard a lot about 2 matches, both involving women.
And that's where we're going to go. The card was basically main evented. It was Tessa Blanchard versus Sami Callihan. And we all know this was supposed to be the Eli Drake spot, but I think he passed. He wasn't interested and moved on. So Sami Callihan comes in. The match was so much better than I thought it was going to be.
Because I'm not a Callahan fan. I'm a Cornette guy. I'm not a Callahan fan. But I did not see the match. But if you're going to tell me that a intergender match was that good, I got to trust you on it.
And, we were just talking about AEW, and they're saying that they're not going to run any intergender. But my question is, it stemmed out of this because the whole show, by the way, Slammiversary, the show was stolen by the knockouts. Period.
Mm-hmm.
So
different knockouts. Those are different knockouts than what you would consider. That's not Velvet Sky, and that's not your TNA, and that's not your Scarlett Bordeaux. That's some legit badasses.
Yeah, I mean they are, and so the question becomes, if they are doing such a great job and your knockouts are knocking it out of the park, some of the words we're hearing out right now is we're hearing words that they would actually consider. Tessa Blanchard looks so good. Would it be far-fetched for them to put the Impact Championship, not the Knockouts title, the Impact title on her and make her the champion?
What have you got to lose? You're getting 20,000 people to watch between Twitch and Pursuit. 20,000. That's almost a variable. God, you're moving all over the place there, buddy.
I'm good. You're good.
That's 20,000 people is incidental. Okay? 20,000 people is somebody fast forwarding through or flipping their remote through the channels and wound up on the stupid hunting channel that doesn't broadcast stuff. One of their shows, Nick, they listed it on the TV guide as 4 30-minute episodes. So if you tried to DVR it, you couldn't, because you'd get 30 minutes.
You'd have to record all 4 30-minute episodes. Mm-hmm. Well, we heard the joke. That's like 10,000 people watching it on Pursuit. Like 10,000 people are watching. Now I don't know if there's any truth in any of these numbers, but if your Twitch channel is matching or outdrawing your TV channel, they need you to get off the channel.
I guarantee you, if you went out to 100 wrestling fans and asked them what Twitch was, you get a 15%. 15% of the people could tell you what Twitch was. 85%, maybe 90% could not tell you what the hell Twitch was.
And that's kind of where we were talking about when, them making her champion. Would it create enough buzz, draw enough attention just to go out on a limb and just try something that different?
Yeah, I mean, if you go above 20,000 viewers, it's a huge gain. If you got 35,000, it's 150%.
Well, here you go. I got one for you. China was made the Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah.
And she could go toe to toe. And they're Billy. I mean, let me ask you this too, because we're talking about making Tessa Blanchard the Impact Champion. A lot of people feel that Tessa Blanchard is the biggest women's superstar, period.
I think she is more recognized than any other woman outside of the WWE. I don't think anybody could argue with that.
Do you think she's the best wrestler?
I know she's the best heel character on WoW. I know she is a solid wrestler. I would not want to put anyone against Charlotte. I would not want to put anyone up against Ronda Rousey or Becky Lynch for wrestling skills. Becky Lynch is stuck in that. They put Becky Lynch.
Keep going.
Lynch. Jesus Christ.
She's the wrench in it, yeah.
With Seth Rollins, the most boring man on the face of this earth, and they took. How I'm sorry. That storyline has killed her in my eyes. Not because it's boring, but he's boring as hell. It's downgraded her character to me. But that's a whole nother subject. But I think Tessa is up there in the top 5 female wrestlers in the world, in my opinion. She could have signed, okay? Very well could have signed with WWE. I don't know what happened, but could have signed and wound up at Impact. And she's killing it. She was in the main event of their biggest show, Nick.
I know, man. That was kind of the big thing.
Intergender match, the taboo. Right now, intergender is the biggest taboo in wrestling. Death matches, I don't even consider death matches wrestling, and all other stuff. I don't consider it wrestling. That's blood sports or whatever you want to call it. If I go to a show and there's a chance I'm going to get exposed to a bloodborne pathogen, I'm out.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to stay. I'm not going to stay in your little warehouse and have people bleed and spit on me. I can do that at work.
but intergender, you're all in. I mean, you're good with that.
I'm not the biggest fan of it. I don't. My take on intergender is I'm not going to shit on it, but I'm not going to watch it. I don't care for it. But if you've got something people will talk about, and you put it on there, and you put your title on a woman.
Okay, let's stop you right there, because that's going to be my question. I want a straight If it were you, would you make her your
What if
Impact
you got
champion?
to lose? Okay. Okay. What value is the Impact Championship? Okay. The Impact title belt with Johnny Mundo gone, with Eli Drake gone. What is the fundamental value of the Impact Championship that would be damaged by putting on a woman? There isn't one. Because if only 20,000 people are watching your program, you can't shit on your belt. It's not that prestigious.
I think it's a brave, bold move, but that's where they are.
They're in a point where
It can't hurt.
it can't hurt, and the problem is you can't damage it either. I mean, you can't damage your product by putting the main league belt on the major belt on a woman, because you're already appealing to a very small market. And if you want to increase your percentage of that indie-rific market, put it there.
Yeah.
That would it would make people watch. It would make women watch. Women watching wrestling. That's a great thing. It would empower women. We have daughters, okay? If our daughters were to feel more empowered, and it'd be a great thing. If our daughters would be interested in watching, I know your daughter is, and I think your other daughters might watch occasionally. My daughter won't touch the stuff. But if a woman was champion, maybe she'd watch. And you know what? If only 20,000 people are watching, one more viewer is a gain. Okay? Two more viewers is a gain. Bring in a few more fans.
Can't hurt. That's all. We keep coming back to can't hurt. Let us know, would you make it? Would you make her champ? I mean, let us know. Again, we always tell you we're always open to feedback at tappedoutpod@gmail.com or at tappedoutpod on all social media. Let us know what you think. Heading out, talking about companies on the rise, I think Slammiversary kind of, at least it was the right direction for Impact. But man, we were in a thread on Facebook a while back about, is this company number one? Is this company number two? Et cetera, et cetera. Clearly, WWE's number one. Most people are already crowning AEW as number two. MLW is going to start making a push for number three.
No. I would actually consider MLW number two because they're running a weekly TV product, which AEW is not. Okay? There's a lot, even if you're taping, even if you're pre-taping, there's a lot more coordination. There's a lot more getting things together to run a weekly television product and to get all your wrestlers in one place on a regular basis than running, what, 2 shows now?
Yeah, they're going into their third. Yeah.
MLW shooting a show. They run the show every week. They shoot every month or so. They get in and they cut a bunch of television. They're going all over the country.
So
I think MLW's number two.
So you put MLW above Impact, Ring of Honor, AEW, all of them.
One thing I can tell you is I can turn on YouTube at any time, watch MLW, and it's compelling television because they use a old school format of bad guys, good guys, commentators that put people over, good referees, incredible managers, believable characters, hot storylines, and which we said this earlier, ring work is probably the bottom in importance for successful wrestling. Storyline is much more important. Character development much more important. But they're putting on great ring work too. I mean, I just had Selena Delarento on my show. One of my most proud acquisitions as far as getting a talent to come on the show. It's on our Patreon right now. Next week it'll go live on the main podcast. Learned a lot of things about someone who is, to me, the most convincing character in wrestling. Someone who has been praised by Jim Cornette and Missy Hyatt. 2 people that know about successful wrestling managing, successful wrestling characters. MLW focuses on character development and storyline, and it's a great product. And it's a lot of product. You can just click on the YouTube channel and just start letting it roll, and you will not run out anytime soon.
Yeah, so I mean, they're doing TV now, they're doing live shows, and again, the big announcement was their first pay-per-view Saturday, November 2nd, Saturday Night Super Fight in Chicago. Court's come out, Court Bauer, who runs it, and says all the titles will be defended that night. Cable and Dish, basically, it's going to be covered on all of your packages, all your Dish networks, Dish, all that cable, everything. The streaming stuff's still being worked out, but I'm sure it'll be the Fight. If I had to guess, it'll probably be Fight TV. And here was the kicker that we're really excited about.
This is the best part.
$19.95, because they wanted it to be affordable to everybody, and it's again, it's a great introduction to get people into maybe aren't.
You're going to get a $60 pay-per-view for $19.95, and I will challenge you to sit down and stream 3 hours of. Well, it's not even 3 hours because they cut all the commercials out. How great is that on YouTube? It's a 45-minute program, nonstop wrestling action, nonstop terrific promos. Stream 3 episodes, and then tell me if you don't want to see this. You won't pay for this pay-per-view. I guarantee you will want to pay for this pay-per-view after that. Because if they're giving that away for free, imagine what the great stuff is going to be like.
Right. I mean, they just ran a show, the Kings of Colosseum. They crowned a new champion, which I thought was crazy, kind of out of the blue. Tom Lawler was defeated by Fatu.
The Samoan werewolf. A bad mofo. Endorsed by Jim Cornette, another person, as a legit wrestling talent. Somebody who is a big deal. And he's right. Those guys are scary. How about this, man? L.A. Park. La Parka. Remember La Parka with the chairman?
Absolutely.
Like this from the old WCW days. He's wrestling, and he's still killing it, man. Seriously, he is putting on phenomenal matches on the MLW product. Loved everything I've seen of him. Managed by Selena De La Renta. I cannot put her over enough. Not just the fact that I'm promoting my interview with her, but she and her promotion as I can't get the Mexican. I'm sorry, folks. I can't get the Spanish accent and roll my things right. Promociones Dorado, her promotion. She did a live Cornette experience, and Conan came back. Conan is going to be promoting more Latino talent. They're going to be feuding back and forth. They're giving you something that's going to appeal to your Lucha Libre crowd and your American wrestling crowd and your work rate crowd. And it reminds me a lot of when WCW was great, when you had cruiserweights, Lucha Libre, and major heavyweight type stuff and big name star type stuff. It's a complete program, and it's less than an hour.
It's a old school WCW. I mean, it was just cool.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, and so like you said, I mean, if you haven't heard it, by the way, because if you're not a Patreon member, sign up at patreon.com/tappedOutPod. The Selena De La Renta interview is available there now, but it will be available this coming Monday. As always, we tell you if you sign up on patreon.com/tappedOutPod, you can get some stuff early, like that one's been up for, at that point, would have been up for over a week for you to check it out. So hopefully you enjoy that kind of stuff.
A lot of new stuff in the works, too, coming out for my interviews. I've got a lot of product that's going to appeal to people all over the country. I'm doing niche work with people who are working in promotions in other states. I'm working with people who've wrestled in Japan. I'm working with people who've wrestled all over the country. And I'm working with some people that are just wrestling names and wrestling minds. So there's going to be some good stuff coming up, folks. Can't guarantee you the release order, because if anybody's ever dealt with wrestling, you know how crazy stuff gets. But a lot of good stuff, a lot of interesting stuff. I hope you will join the Patreon to get it first. That way you can talk about it long before any of your friends can.
Yep. Well, now let's jump into kind of the meat of everything. But before we do, we get into Georgia Indie Talk. Georgia Indie Talk this week brought to you by North Georgia Accounting Solutions. Our friends over at North Georgia Accounting Solutions do everything from tax work to payroll. If you got a company and you need somebody to handle your payroll, easy for me to say, check out Marcia and the guys and the ladies all over at North Georgia Accounting Solutions. That's at ngas.us is the website, or give them a call at 678-804-4011. That is 4011, and tell them the Tapped Out guy sent you over.
Who does the accounting for the podcast, Nick?
North Georgia Accounting Solutions. Who does my personal taxes? North Georgia Accounting Solutions. So, I mean, we speak because, when we talk about like, oh, well, it's a service we actually use, this is who we use for our business. This is who we use for our
Hey,
personal.
we're not endorsing products we don't use, people. That's just that simple. You can trust us. This is stuff that is involved in our everyday lives. North Georgia Graphics, North Georgia Accounting Solutions. What's the name of your carpet guy you love so much?
Truman Steamer Carpet Cleaners was out this week.
Carpet cleaners.
He's probably going to be next week. So, yeah, absolutely.
These are people we know and trust, and we wouldn't recommend them to you if we did not.
Absolutely. But man, hey, let's go ahead and dive right into the social, the whole Georgia indie scene. And this week, it's all going to start with with the social media stuff, man. The drama going on, just all over the place. First and foremost, I'm going to ask you: are people taking things? We always joke everything's a work until the feelings get hurt, then it's personal. Are people actually losing their focus over the social media drama and losing their way?
My spirit guide, Stephen Platinum, said that drama in performing arts, this is just par for the course. And wrestling to me is a performance art. Okay? It's theater for the masses. It's been around since the Roman times in different capacities. It's entertainment. Regardless of how you want to portray it, it's still entertainment. And these people are performers, and performers are going to have egos, and performers are going to have feelings, and people are going to be extreme and have different viewpoints. It's like getting upset that your favorite Hollywood star has a political viewpoint that's different than yours. They're performers. They're strong people. They're intelligent people. Even if it's a different viewpoint, they're creative types. And creative types, we've learned that creative types, you can't just judge them because, they don't work a 9-to-5 job like everybody else. They don't sit in an office or a cubicle. They create, they do things. They work on their own time scale. They work on their own mind. So the drama is there, but I don't think it's really that big a deal to be honest with you. And I think it helps a lot of people because it gets name recognition. What does Gary say? The P.T. Barnum quote: "Just spell my name right. I don't care what you say."
Well, it's talk good about me, talk bad about me, just talk about me and spell my name right when you're talking about me, kind of thing. Yeah.
It's advertising.
Here was my question though, because one of the things I think this stems from is Gary and I do the show, The Wrestling Business, which by the way we're going to be recording another episode next week, so it'll be coming out soon. And one of the things we talked about early on in this was finding the personality of your promotion. And that promotion, that personality kind of needs to fit who's driving the vehicle, I think is ultimately kind of what the point of that show came down to. And I think what we have here in Georgia is there's so many different personalities running these promotions. And that ultimately, I guess the question is, do the people running these separate promotions, do they all have different goals? Do they have different hopes, dreams of what they want their promotion to be? And that's the contradiction where these are. And again, there's no right or wrong way. And that's funny that people won't believe this, but if you go back and watch the episode of The Wrestling Business that we cut for, that was just a few weeks ago, technically it was episode 1. We did a kind of a pre thing for it. But the episode 1 is out there. At the end of the day, even Gary said, because everybody obviously wants to probably shit on Gary because, he's the one in Georgia. A lot of people say he's stirring the most shit on social media.
He is a shit wrecker.
And he does.
And he loves it.
And he loves it. But so,
he can back it up.
But he's also the one who said that ultimately you kind of got to do for your promotion what make it's going to be more like you. So if it's if it's a mark show like Stranglehold this past week, which we're going to address in a minute, where you just basically are like, hey, I'm just going to sink my money into it, don't care if it makes money, I just want to be around big names or whatever, that's you. There's nothing wrong with being Gary and those guys up at Southern Honor, their focus is, look, we just want to make money. We want to stay in business. We want to make money. We want to be profitable. I think that's ultimately what Southern Honor. Now, we're not saying there's no creative there that they, because Dylan's wants to, run a good promotion. He wants to run, which he does, books good matches and stuff. But then you're going to have another promotion. And with all due respect of them, everybody knows at the core of it that, I love Chip Day. I love, his family. I know his people associated with him. So I do. And we're going to talk about AWE in a minute.
His mother is one of the nicest people I've met in the wrestling business.
So I do like, AWE in general. Yeah, I see you, buddy. So do what?
I don't see you, buddy.
I'm seeing me fine, so we're good. So ultimately, I guess what we're getting at is, if your promotion is more about from a passion, and that's what I think. I think ultimately that no one has probably as much passion in their hearts for pro wrestling than a Chip Day has. And again, we're going to address some of that in a minute as far as AW's return. So I think when you have people whose ultimate goals were, I want to make money, it's my passion, or it's a mark show, I think ultimately that's where the personalities clash, and that's where we have the social media aspect of it. But at the same time, let's ask you this. You've brought it up, but isn't it necessarily a good thing sometimes? The love, just the stir it up and the attention that it gets.
Yeah. But the thing is, you can't have a business where everybody is an artist and a creative type, and you can't have a business where everybody in wrestling where everybody is a business guy, and you can't have a business where everybody can record good video. But if you can get that pinnacle where you get a good business mind and a good creative mind and a passionate artist mind together, you can build a juggernaut. And that's how it's worked. Okay? You get people behind the scenes, you get good bookers, you get good TV guys, you get good talent, you get good promoters, and you can make it work. They call them starving artists for a reason. Okay? Art is not a money-making business, but you can make money off art. You know what I'm saying? If you got the right people promoting your product's going to look a lot better. If you got the right people filming and presenting your product and handling the effects, your product's going to look a lot better. It's you have to have a complete package to be able to be successful in any business, and I think wrestling is just like that. If you're going to appeal to a mainstream audience, you need production, promotion, and passion. That's my opinion on the whole thing.
And we kind of, on the pre-show when we were discussing it, we brought up by no means am I comparing these as far as to the levels that they are as far as in Georgia. The analogy was just like, okay, we're going to put a lot of effort in for production, the value, the look, that kind of stuff. Okay, that's WWE. That's kind of their go-home thing. That's their big. They want to be the best production company out there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Southern Honor in Georgia right now.
Yeah.
Ring of Honor is the in-ring work. That's kind of their focus. That everybody knows that, hey, the best wrestling in the ring. And you might say New Japan. You could throw Ring of Honor, New Japan together and call them the kind of the same. They're tied to bed. They're in the bed together for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay, so in Georgia, in my opinion, that's AWE in action. Because that's kind of what their specialty is what goes on inside the ring. Then there's just other things. There's hybrids. Southern Fried does some of the best storytelling.
And the work's good. And it looks like Memphis. It looks like Crockett. It looks like Mid-South.
Well, that's funny. I was going to call it Memphis. You're right. It's Memphis wrestling.
Well, Todd is a Memphis. It's almost
old
like
school,
sprung right out of Jerry Lawler's loins. He's that guy. He's a Jarrett. He's a Lawler. He's a Jerry. He's got that style down. He brings that style out. He makes people care about the wrestlers. He builds characters, and he's perfect in his market. Would he play in Canton? Would he play in Atlanta? I can't say if he would. Would Dylan play in Monroe? Would Murder play in Monroe? It's a toss up, man. It's a toss up. I think all of those people are in the exact right places for where they need to be.
As Gary always says, this is, the riches are in the niches, and I think, no one fits Monroe better than Southern Fried.
Nope.
They do phenomenal at what they do. Gary's in his wheelhouse in Canton.
He's like I mean, if you've never seen Gary among his people, you don't understand it.
Right.
He is I mean, I'm not going to say a cult-like figure, but he is somebody with the charisma and the people he's around that people feel strongly about him and gravitate to him, even if they're not in the church with him. He has a market in Canton for him and his productions. And I think he brought a lot of people out who weren't wrestling fans, who were his church people or were his barbecue festival people that believed in what he was doing. And he made those people wrestling fans with a quality product Nathan and Dylan promote. And they put out there. That's the different market. He made new wrestling fans. And if you go to the shows, I would dare to say there's always the highest percentage of new wrestling fans at a Southern Honor show of any show in Georgia.
And that's probably accurate. I would agree with you there. And I think, like I said, with AW's return, I think they've got a couple things coming up at the Southern Gaming Expo to even expand on. They had their first show. They were back. They had 60 paid, 75 in the house. And I was like, it's a start. They put the title on Chip, which was, I think, the right move. Chip's, hands down. I mean, I don't think I'm being disparaging to anybody when I think Chip's the best wrestler they have.
Yes, I agree 100%. And also, Chip is part of the promotion, so he'll be there every day. If you can't put the belt on a part timer, you can't put the belt on somebody who lives in Tennessee and has to drive down. He's somebody that's going to be around. He's going to be on the shows. Maybe when you get your foot in the door and your promotion off the ground, you can stretch and put it on somebody else. But when you're just getting started, you need a reliable champion, and that's the best person to put it on.
I think so. And I think there's a lot of story to be told. And that goes back to, I think it's the passion in his, that he has for wrestling. And I think that speech he gave in the middle of the ring, he talked about it on Facebook that he meant every word that he said. It was an emotional moment. I don't doubt it. Every bit of it was true. And I think that was, like I said, why it's necessary to put that on him. I think going forward, every story, as far as the championship built around him is a good start. And hopefully over the next, months to come, they head in the right direction. I know I happened to listen to Huckabee and Mika's the Wrestling Nerdcast, and they basically had Platinum on this right before we were recording this, and he put them as one of the promotions that he said Platinum said Murder's insane, but in a good way. He could make a bold move and do great things for AWE. Just you got to just do it. Just make it happen, and then I think they'll be okay. But as far as back to the biggest drama on social media this week, obviously between YouTube and social media and just all over the state of Georgia, Stranglehold ran a show called The Arms, and it just completely has become a big, huge thing. How much money did he lose? Well, he didn't lose as much as thought. He had sponsors. But basically, Stephen Platinum just absolutely just blasted.
Well, it wasn't just him that blasted.
Oh, no, it's everybody. Everybody's out there.
I would like to put an open invitation to Mr. Matthew Hankins, a past guest on the show, someone who has impressed me so much lately with his work. His interview on The Last Tipping Point was amazing. Mr. Hankins, if you have a video, if you have some footage you'd like to share, I would love to give you a platform to air it on. I would love to get you to break it down. If we did it like it was the JFK assassination footage and you went through things with me, I'd love to see that. What we're talking about is they went and had somebody who had a platinum championship belt. I don't know what belt it was, because I know Brian Kane is the eternal PCW champion. He still carries the belt to the day. I didn't recognize. Did you recognize the guy's name?
Yeah.
Okay. So he had a PCW belt. He came and he threw it in the trash can in front of everybody else. Matt Hankins was working a show out in, was it Carrollton or Villa Rica? Where's that show at?
I believe it's Carrollton South there.
Yeah. He went and got Shane Marks, who is a great worker. And they drove up there, went into his locker room, demanded an apology. First, they dressed him down, demanded an apology, and recorded it on the phone so the guy could not come back and say something later. So apparently this mythical Bigfoot footage, this mythical Loch Ness Monster footage of Georgia wrestling is out there somewhere. And if anyone wanted to bring it on the show, I would work something out that we could give them all the full.
I would just like to hear his version, his of the story of what happened. That was another one. But because the drama, it's not even just that. It was bringing in legends who got stuck associated with Road Warrior Animal. They were talking about Ricky Morton was involved and Tony.
I've seen Ricky Morton enough to know I wouldn't want to piss him off or Robert off, because they are actually would just beat the hell out of you. I can tell that from the times I've met them. Really nice guys, wouldn't want to cross them. I met the next day. They had an autograph signing at the local barbecue joint that you and Billy love so much. Praise the Lord. I met Tony Atlas.
Give him a quick plug real quick. I mean, because we do love this. Praise the Lord.
This is a Tony Atlas signed drawing. You saw this behind the Dark Side of the Ring series where he was talking about his drawings. This is a Bruiser Brody print Tony Atlas drew that I got at Praise the Lord Barbecue. I met him, and I met Road Warrior Animal, who said I look like King Kong Bundy. And then Tony Atlas went on to talk about King Kong Bundy's tryout for the WWE, and it was so surreal to hear the stories about how Bundy worked in the ring on his first tryout that he put Tony Atlas with, that Vince destroyed the tape of so he could send Bundy somewhere else to develop to bring him back as the monster heel he turned out to be. Phenomenal discussion. I just sat there and all like,
well, here's the crazy thing. So Ted, friend of the show, Ted Shoemake, runs the Praise the Lord. That's his restaurant. So you were there.
Yes.
You saw what happened. We're not going to get a ton into it. But you know that it was.
The gentleman seemed very uncomfortable. Not talking about Ted, the promoter. Seemed very uncomfortable. He was on his phone the whole time and quite agitated. But if I had just lost,
God knows how much money, because
I would be irritated too.
He
did show up. I give him credit. He showed up the next day at the signing.
Didn't stay
what he promised. It was a very surreal experience as far as that part. I sit and watch for a while because when I go to wrestling, I watch the crowd as much as I do the people in the ring, because that's some of the interesting stuff. So I just sat around and watched, and he was acting quite strange. I didn't let it interfere with my experience, though, because, like I said, Tony Atlas is amazing. He was just like the character you saw on Dark Side of the Ring. Very charming. I didn't see any women standing on his face. I hear that's his thing. But, if you're going to book a show and you're going to go out there and try to promote it and you're going to put that much money in, it's a different ballpark. Your internet presence was not as strong enough. I know he was out canvassing, handing out really well-produced flyers. And I saw the flyers. I saw his tickets. His tickets look better than any WWE ticket I've ever had. Okay? Because I've always had the printouts off Ticketmaster. He had like a quality ticket with photographs and different colors on it that you're not going to get on a wrestling promotion in Georgia. He laid out a ton of money.
Or sponsors did.
And I'm not talking, I don't know this man. I don't know his ethics. I don't know anything about him. But there's no way anyone made money on 30 tickets.
And I'll go ahead and tell you that from behind the scenes, the event the next day wasn't run much better. But kudos, if you love barbecue and you like pro wrestling, check it out. Buford, Georgia. Praise the Lord. You do need to check them out.
That Mr. Wrestling #2 autograph, where was that gotten at?
Praise the Lord
Barbecue. I've got Tony Atlas's autograph. I got one of Tony Atlas's prints.
Yeah.
or Bruiser Brody at Praise the Lord Barbecue. Could I have gotten that anywhere else? Much less 5 minutes from my house.
Well, it's always it's there. You know, it's every time when you have your little stand, there's not a number. You get a wrestler. Ted's a big wrestling fan, clearly. So we always tell him, hey, tell him the Tapped Out guys from the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast sent you, and tell them hello. He would appreciate it, I'm sure. But the Stranglehold story, as Platinum put it, there's lots of bad promotions in Georgia, and we know this because we go to shows, and when we're out there, we're hitting shows. There's shows that there's great ones. There's your Southern Honor, Southern Fried. There's even stuff up in Cornelia. The Cornelia shows are good. Everybody raves on Action. The AWE shows we've been to, we enjoy. That ones we've been to. But there's garbage out there. There's just promotions that don't need to be running, give wrestling a bad name, or just if it's just crap. I mean, it hurts the chance of a next time another promotion comes in town, you don't want to go pay to see it because the last one you went and see was garbage.
Yeah.
So
territory. And we had the conversation. We're right past our time limit. But we had a conversation about that promotion in Indiana that did the whole blood and guts, get checked for AIDS and hepatitis because they bled all over everybody. And that promotion is going to cause Indiana to regulate wrestling again. And Indiana quit regulating wrestling because the promoters encouraged them to so they could actually still make money on it. But if we have these promotions like Stranglehold, and we have these promotions like what I've heard about OSWA, where shady stuff was going on in the background, that do stuff that draws the attention of authorities, wrestling will get regulated again. Okay? Right now, the Georgia State Athletic Commission does not give two shits about wrestling. If you want to be an MMA and you want to be boxing, they care because those generate legit revenue. But if they get involved in wrestling, because there's stuff going on like the people putting on $15,000 shows that don't draw money, or the other things we've heard of, they're going to start asking for gate receipts. And when they ask for gate receipts, they're going to tax wrestling, which is pretty much a tax-free business. All cash.
Well, the worst part of it is on top of that is the sponsors that spent money on Stranglehold felt like they wasted their money. They're not going to do it again when that opportunity is available to a legit promotion.
Now, I actually heard a lot of the people that went, and I looked through the Facebook feed, a lot of the people that went to Stranglehold loved what they saw. It was great meeting all those fans. I mean, all those legends. But
you had plenty of time. They weren't rushed.
Yeah.
So I mean, whatever. But there you go from that promotion to we're going to talk about one of the best in the state, if not the best in the state. Southern Honor Wrestling's got a show on Friday. I know you will be missing this. It'll be your first one you've missed in months.
I missed the first show, and I haven't missed the show since. I have ran out of vacation, and I have ran out of favors, and I have run out of lying to people enough to be able to get off to go to Friday shows. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, we'll be there. I'm going to take the kid. She's going to go with me, and she's excited. Obviously the show's headlined by AC Mack, and Alan Angels for the title. Finally, we're going to get it. Hey, I know there's more. Is it a 3-match card? Actually, this one argues a 4. Because Brady Pierce versus Logan Creed clearly sits there. That feud that those two, being tangled up with Corey Hollis, and that feud is probably like one of the hottest in Georgia right now.
There's also that Dynamite video I did with Corey Hollis, the Shoots Fired episode I did that's drawn all those Facebook watches and all those downloads. Dude got me. He's a legit heel. Love that show. I love working with him, even though he got all over me. I could really respect his heel work. After that, we've got the 20th of the shows we follow. IWE in Augusta has a super show. Jack Swagger, Selena De La Renta, Amber Nova. I cannot remember Drake Maverick's wife's name. She's going to be there. All kind of super names going to be out in Augusta. Southern Fried is going to be out there in Monroe, turning out another awesome looking show. I'll be talking to Dr. Brock next week about that. I can't wait to hear what's going on. As I hear, if you're not finding good wrestling shows in Georgia, you're not looking. And I agree 100%.
You're right. That list is out there. Look, I mean, that's what Facebook's for, right? You can find any show. But we're generally plugging every week. Like I said, I'll come out and see us Southern Honor Wrestling on Friday, Saturday. We'll see. We might make a show. We might not. Depends on what's going on. But find the good ones. I mean, if you're looking for good ones, ask us. You can DM us at tappedoutpod or email us at tappedoutpod@gmail.com. We'll let you know. Be blunt. We'll tell you which ones is it worth your time or not.
Well, we're out there shaking down the promotions. We're out there sitting in the seats. We're out there talking to the wrestlers, talking to the promoters, getting on the boots on the ground, not wrestling boots, as we wear, comfortable old men shoes.
Yeah.
We're getting comfortable old men shoes on the ground out there talking to wrestling people.
And check out, friend of the show, Larry Goodwin. He's got Georgia Wrestling History. He's got reviews. You can go back in their archives and find reviews of the last few shows of a promotion if you're looking it up, if they're bothering to send in their report or if he's got them in there. But him and Rob are doing a good job of getting those reports out there. But, hey, we look forward to doing a few, to sending them in to help them out as well. But, man, hey, I think we got everything covered pretty good. But before we get out of here, I do want to make sure everybody is subscribing to us at all the right places. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartMedia, Player FM, etc. For all your podcasts, your favorite podcast players. We're pretty much on anywhere you're going to look for. You can find us. Everybody's asked, hey, can I find you on social media? Yeah, it's called @TappedOutPod on all forms of social media: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also find us on YouTube, which we don't advertise a lot. Let me tell you real quick why. YouTube hates wrestling, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah, 100% true.
As far as payouts go, so we're not, but we have it there. Absolutely. All of the episodes are there. You can find us. It's just Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. But, man, hey, one of our favorite new places that we are is if you like watching the videos, but Facebook's not your thing, you'd rather sit back in the comforts of your own home and watch us, you can always find us on Jarrett Parsons Wrestling Television.
On your big screen, in your living room, from the comfort of your own couch.
And what do they need, though, what do they need to have? It requires one little thing.
A Roku stick, just like this one here, available at your Walmart for very little money. Or an Amazon Kindle Fire Stick.
Yep.
Available on Amazon. Also, very little money. Stream, Netflix. I just saw the new Flash TV show was on Roku the other day.
Yeah. It's already.
Okay. WE, Jarrett Parsons, Amazon, Netflix. It's all on these little TV sticks that you just plug in the back of your television set.
Yep.
And you get all this content.
If you rather order it on Amazon, that's fine. The Amazon Fire Stick. Run down to your Walmart, pick up a Roku stick, whatever you want to do. Go to Jarrett Parsons Wrestling Television, pick us up. We're right there. There's a scroll and just tons of old school content on there. And of course, then we're there. So we always can't recommend it enough. Bill Apter's on there, a bunch of other round table shows, old school Memphis, Continental, etc. promotions are on there. So definitely get your Roku and check us out. But hey, last but not least, two places we really would wish you recommend that we would go out and find us. Patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Get early content. You get your early stuff. You get bonus stuff. All that good stuff there. Sign up for any level that you want to get different little special packages, like our buddy Rafe who signed up this week. You can get some free T-shirts. You can get some free other stuff because the T-shirts we have available at ProWrestlingTees.com/tapped-out-wrestling-podcast. Our favorite 3 shirts are there. The original Tapped Out tee, the I Tapped That tee, and the Wrestling is Like Women tee, all available on ProWrestlingTees.com.
Everybody else is there. You should do it too. Find the elite. Find all elite. Find the Bucks. Find Cody. Find everyone that's got a T-shirt store. Right there. Bruiser Brody has a T-shirt store. Speaking of old school guys, it's really cool. If you want to just tool around the Pro Wrestling Tees website just to look at the designs, it will take hours of your time. It's just like a YouTube rabbit hole. It is so much fun. And then go over there and buy a couple tees from our shirts. couple of shirts from our store, and I guarantee you'll love it. I'm wearing one of our shirts right now, top quality cloth. My favorite shirts come from Pro Wrestling Tees. I wish I could wear them every day. I practically do everywhere but work.
Everywhere will work, absolutely. Well, brother, we did go over a little bit, but not too bad. We thought it was going to be a lot worse than this. But you got anything else, man?
Nope, I got nothing.
Well, what's the old saying, man? We always have to run through it. If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.